the same way. We're missing the campus. So welcome to all. We are just about to begin, and I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge each of you who are here today and ask you to be mindful of keeping yourselves muted during this session so that we can have no disruptions for the speakers, so that those who are trying to hear can hear. I am going to also let you know that you can still interact with us, even though you won't necessarily have your mic on. We invite you to join the chat, share where you're joining us from, questions that you might have for Nooreen and her team regarding the team coaching at Royal Roads. So with that, I would like to acknowledge that we are blessed and privileged to be able to work and live on the lands of the Kosamson and Kongan speaking peoples, who have been here for many, many, many years, and we're so grateful for this opportunity we have. I'd like to take a moment as well to acknowledge those of you who are in other areas and ask that you consider where you're joining us from today, and just have that joy in your hearts for the gratitude we have for the lands. I see we've got people here from Mexico, Colombia, Uganda. Terry wrote in earlier from Sudbury, Ontario, and shared the lands and territories she is from. So with that, I would like to introduce to you Nooreen and her team here and have them introduce themselves. We're really fortunate to be able to have Nooreen, Jason, and Julia with us today, who are going to share with you probably some of your concerns. I think ultimately when we consider cohort learning and learning at Royal Roads, learning online, you know you're going to be working with other professionals. How do we manage and mitigate what that's like in teamwork? And so Nooreen, with that, I would like to welcome you and turn the time over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Megan. And to everyone joining us from all around the world, a very heartfelt welcome. We're so happy to be here this morning with you and to share our excitement about teamwork and team coaching here at Royal Roads. So as you've heard, my name is Nooreen, and I work as the manager of team coaching as well as a team coach. And I've been doing that since 2016, and have just worked with different programs and different cohorts across the university. And a little bit about myself personally: I was born in the West Indies, migrated to Canada as a child, grew up here, did most of my education here, most of my university education, and then lived internationally for quite a few years and did a master's in Germany, and moved back to Canada in 2015, and voila, here I am today, and so excited to as I said, to talk to you about team coaching today. So I will hand it over to Julia to introduce herself.
There we go. Yeah, the phrase of the year. I am now unmuted. Thank you so much, Nooreen. It's lovely to be here today and to join everyone, and great to see where everyone's coming in from. Kind of makes the world feel like a smaller and more connected place. And certainly this is what we do these days, is we connect this way, and it can be an absolutely amazing way to connect with your teams and with each other. It's actually proving to work very well. So I have been a team coach at Royal Roads for about 3 years now. My background is it's a mix of, I did my undergraduate degree in science, thinking that I was going to do environmental science for my living, and then realized that science is actually all about solving problems where people are different, and we need to come to the table and come to agreement. And so what I realized is we need to learn how to work with each other. And so I did a lot of work in conflict resolution work, and mediation and negotiation. And I found myself at Royal Roads, and I absolutely love what we do, because we as team coaches get to support your success. And that's really, every day that we come to work, we think in that way of how are we supporting you to come through your program successfully. And I think it's the best job I've ever had. So I'm really happy to be here with you today. Pass it over to Jason.
Thanks, Julia. And my name's Jason, and I'm also a team coach here at Royal Roads. And I, like Nooreen, was born not in Canada and have lived back and forth between the US and Canada since 2003. I'm a dual citizen, and happy to bring background in education. I was a high school teacher. I have been a wilderness guide, experiential educator, and enjoy the chance to help support all of you and the students at Royal Roads who are learning and improving their abilities to work together. I especially enjoy integrating my own learnings from travel and intercultural experiences. I've been to over 20 countries, and so really enjoy bringing that perspective as well to our work in supporting your learning here at Royal Roads.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason. So you will probably know by now, as a prospective student, that teamwork is going to be part of the experience at Royal Roads. And therefore, that's why you have team coaches to support that learning. And as I always like to say this, because I think it's not well enough known that Royal Roads University is the only Canadian university that has this support service. And that's because teamwork is viewed as a significant learning experience here. And therefore, that is why there is this specialized support to help you embrace collaboration and everything that that means. But before we get deeper into this, I guess I will pass it to Megan to screen our video.
So I'm Nooreen, and I'm a team coach here at Royal Roads University.
My name's Julia Szucs.
I'm Jason Oliver, and I'm a team coach here at Royal Roads.
What I really love about being a team coach at Royal Roads is I get to work with people.
I love to be able to challenge others to reach towards new opportunities.
I delight in understanding what is it that helps people to come together and to produce something amazing.
When a team first comes together, they often ask, what's the assignment? What's the goal? And I'll say, hang on, let's step back a bit. Really, the first question to ask isn't what are we doing? It's who are we? What are we bringing to this team? What are our strengths? What do we fear? What do we care about? That builds trust. That builds bonds. That builds strong relationships. That builds a foundation. Then we can start to look at the what are we doing? The teams that really get to know each other first, those are the ones that have the experience, not just transactional and getting work done, but the experience of rich relationships and friendships that last way beyond their programs.
I think students who care for each other as teammates are able to move past the transactional relationships and really develop a strong teamwork ethos. They are the ones, like the team of 6 people from 5 different countries who said we've never met, but we already regard each other as family.
As your team develops, you're going to get to know each other's strengths and particular aptitudes and interests. This creates a great crucible for learning and sharing, and you can leverage each other's strengths. For example, let's say I'm not very good at research, but my teammate is. On the next team assignment, I can choose to take over the task of research, and my teammate will mentor me. So I get to learn that skill with the support of my teammate, and my teammate gets experience in mentoring. It's a win-win situation for us both.
When it comes to a team assignment, students tell us that keeping an open mind to different perspectives is essential. Teams that are able to integrate the different viewpoints and backgrounds of all teammates often succeed far beyond those that are unable to do so. Recognizing that everyone on your team comes from a different place and has had different experiences will really help you to open the door towards integrating those experiences throughout your work.
With teamwork, you've got your teammates who are relying on your contribution for the team deliverable, whereas in individual work, it's you alone that is responsible for getting the work done. The expectation here at Royal Roads is that teamwork takes precedence over individual work. Your teammates are relying on you. So when everyone comes to the team meeting prepared, when everyone respects each other's time as well as respects internal and external deadlines, that allows the team to function smoothly and to set yourself up for success.
It's funny, when students come to Royal Roads, I think there's a lot of anxiety and maybe even fear about working with others, because what it means is we have to rely on other people for our own success. And so even the idea of working on a team assignment together can be quite daunting. And here's what I've noticed changes. I've noticed that over the program length that students are engaged in, that they go from feeling fear and anxiety to saying, wait a second, there's a real benefit here, and I'm not the only one who feels this way. What I notice is when they actually get to know each other and see that they're all very interested in success. In fact, they might even do better on their team assignments than on their individual assignments. It comes as a big surprise, but it can be quite an amazing outcome of working in teams.
Team coaches share a range of communication tools. We guide students to shift away from passive-aggressive communication to assertive communication. Assertiveness means respecting my own needs while also respecting the needs of others. When teams can practice that assertive communication, it builds trust and it creates psychological safety and also a space of collaboration where the team is successful.
When I meet teams for the first time, I often hear them say to me, oh, we're good, we don't have any conflict. They're afraid of conflict. And that's actually really common and really normal to fear conflict because it's risky. And it can hijack a team. It can take them away from their goals. But there's opportunity if we engage with it and we work with it to actually get through something and go even deeper and realize something that we would never have realized had we avoided that conflict. So it's the teams that embrace conflict, that see it as something that has possibility to transform. It's those teams that really reach deeper goals and have higher success rates. I'll see students come out of this program and say, I'm so glad that we had challenges together because that's how I got to know my team. That's how I got to know myself. And then we came up with a richer product in the end.
I think that having a positive growth mindset is critical. Sometimes students will come in and think that teamwork is purely transactional and they're just gonna, you do A and I'll do B. And really it's about the opportunity to realize that you can grow through these experiences, positive or negative. It's okay to try something new and it may not work perfectly all the time. It's okay to try something new and learn from it. And that's what your experience as a student is about. This is the opportunity to learn from each other, to grow, and to be able to build a story out of those experiences that you can take with you to your next experience, whether it's a job or a volunteer opportunity. We as team coaches are able to support many different desires for growth. So by focusing on the challenging growth opportunities within each teamwork situation, we're able to pull out the insights that students often need about themselves to learn positively from their teamwork experience.
Awesome. So thanks, Megan, for screening that. And I hope that that short video has given you an idea of what we do and how we do it. And now we would love to open the floor and take some questions from you. Just give people a moment to type in their questions.
If I can, Nooreen, too, I think I can start us off with a question for you because I know as a graduate myself, one of my probably, and I think many's biggest fears is what you just described in this video. We think of individual learning versus team learning. I know if I'm responsible, I'm going to get it done. When you all of a sudden have, 4 other people that you're working with, that can be very, very daunting and challenging. And going to what Julia said, and then you put conflict in there and you think, oh gosh, help me just get this project done, right? So do I really have to deal with the personalities? But I will get to a question. My statement is, what I took away from that experience, as hard as it can be at, the time to write a paper or do a presentation formally, was that I had soft skills I never could have imagined having gained that were not a part of the curriculum as written or as prescribed and as I saw. So, particularly when it relates to intercultural change too, we've just shown that you're joining us today from across the world. So you bring culture with you and changes. So how does that play into the work that you're doing, and how do you help teams set the stage for a harmonious resolution to some of those conflicts that can get them to be more productive?
Yeah, that's a great question, Megan. And I think you have accurately said it in terms of you came away from your experience with a lot of soft skills that weren't even perhaps even acknowledged while you were going through it. And that's what a lot of our graduates say. But to come to your specific question, we have very specific tools and processes that we invite students to engage with. But you know what? Before we even get to the processes and tools, as we said in our video, we create that opportunity for the students to just get to know each other and to learn what are your interests, what are your goals, why are you doing this program, what brought you here, and from that you build the relationships within the team. And as particularly during the pandemic, what we have found as team coaches is that community building within the cohort as well as with the team has become even more important than it was when we were in a different situation. So first and foremost is laying the foundation with the relationships of building the trust and getting to know each other. And from there, then we can start talking about, so what are the collaborative processes? What are the specific tools that I can use? And we've got a range of those that we introduce at particular intentional points over the trajectory of the program. So I'll let my colleagues speak.
Well, I think there's more to this question. You've kind of got that, and there's another question that relates. So I'll ask that now from Katia Reyes, and she says, how do you handle the cultural differences in teamwork? So maybe if Julia or Jason want to address that one.
I'll take a crack at that question. It's funny. I think that when we don't know each other, we tend to think of each other as being very different, and that we possibly won't get along because we have different personalities. And the thing that makes a team and not just a group is the team has something in common. And they always have that thing, that goal in common. So no matter how different your culture may be, no matter how different your personality may be, starting from a place of saying, what is it that we're here to create together? And what do we care about? And commonly, every student at Royal Roads cares about going through a program and getting to a place of success and achieving outcomes together. And so that's a place to start with. So I always want to encourage students to come into teamwork by saying, what do we have in common rather than what do we have that's different? And that requires a shift in mindset from me versus you to me with you. And we talk a lot about this idea of collaboration. Well, collaboration is a big word. It's a mindset, it's an attitude that says we are in this together, and what can I do to broaden my perspective to be open and open-minded to the fact that we may see things differently, we may have different experiences, but in the long run, we are challenged with coming together with a common goal. And that's the mindset that really shifts. It's not a competitive mindset. It's not even a cooperative, I'll do this, you do that. It's a, what are we doing that's bigger than what I could create on my own and you could create on your own. We're going to create something bigger than the sum of the parts. And that's the mindset that we really offer the opportunity for you as students to get into, that collaborative mindset of building something together.
Well said, well said. And I think that with what Jason's typed here, team coaching helps create opportunities for building relationships, which has been particularly important over this last year. Did you want to speak to that, Jason?
Well, I was just paraphrasing a little bit of what Nooreen said to try to make sure that those who are listening using audio can read it as well. Also, to address a little bit of that question on the personality types, one of the things we talk about a lot with our teams is recognizing the different perspectives that you have. Terry, you specifically noted people who are more introverted sometimes experience teamwork as stimulation overload. Sure. And one of the things that we recognize and want to really think about with that empathy and building relationships is learning how to speak up. And again, we've got several tools. The FIRM tool is one for speaking assertively so that the rest of your team understands your own needs and perspective, but also being able to listen to the perspectives of others and recognize that they're not all going to be the same as you, and that being able to empathize and understand those perspectives is what helps you to build the relationships necessary to work together to produce a product that's greater than just doing your own individual portions.
Great point. Nooreen, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple of points as both Julia and Jason were talking. And
there's
Julia,
a new question too, Nooreen.
Okay, thank you.
I'll come back to the question and
okay.
read it out loud for everyone.
And so the one thing is Julia talked about collaboration, and something that we've started to play with is the definition of collaboration, because everyone has a slightly different understanding of collaboration. And that's one of the things to talk about as you get to know your team. And what we do as we check in with teams and cohorts as they go through their program is, how is your definition of collaboration evolving and changing as you have this lived experience? So when someone leaves their program, they most likely, and from anecdotal experience, I can tell you, they leave with a very different definition than they started with, having had those lived experiences of working together and bringing together their different ideas, their different opinions, and sharing that in a way that is conducive to delivering a better product. And the one thing that Jason also mentioned was the idea of different personality types in our different tools that we offer. And so something as simple as encouraging teams to have a facilitator when they have their team meetings is one way to ensure that everybody's voice is heard in a particular team meeting, and indeed in any team venture together. So those are the things that we encourage. And how we do that is by having workshops, intentional scheduled workshops, generally at the beginning of the program and then throughout the program. And those are supplemented by team meetings where one team will sit down with their team coach and either debrief a particular exercise, debrief how that last team assignment went, or preparing them in programs where we know their teams are going into a heavy delivery after delivery of team assignments, making sure that they've set up really well with the processes that they need to get them through that long haul.
That's critical. That's critical, particularly at both the undergraduate and graduate level. They've got that support. Jacqueline has thanked each of you, Nooreen, Julia, and Jason. And in your experience, she asks, have you ever encountered a situation where a team was completely unable to resolve their conflict? And if so, what was the end result? Good, great question, Jacqueline. Yeah.
That is a great question, and I think we can all speak to this from our different experiences with that question. Has there been a situation where they were completely unable? I wouldn't say they were completely unable. I would say that the conflict evolved and shifted and changed, and perhaps took on different facets, because it comes down to how willing are the individuals within the team to move past the conflict and to see conflict as transformational and constructive as opposed to destructive. And yes, in my experience as a team coach, I have worked with a team that was not able to quite get away from that obstacle. However, I worked a lot with them to still be able to function as a team, because we never encourage that a team just gives up and say, okay, we can't work together. That's not really an option, because that's not an option in the real world. So we mirror that experience. So as challenging as it is for me to work with that person, what do I need to do? What do I personally need to put in place? What is my sense of awareness that I have to bring to the situation to ensure that there still can be some effective collaboration? Because at the end of the day, we still have a job to get done.
So giving tools to go through the problem rather than around.
Correct. Actually, you've put it very, very well, right? To just embrace that problem and go through it, because we can't tiptoe around it, right? So let's face it, and let's work this out as best we can.
I like what you said there, because ultimately your education is that fishbowl of learning. It's a
Yes.
safe place to have these conversations and to work through these challenges, because the real world isn't as safe, and if you can go out with those tools. Well said. Any other thoughts before we have a couple more questions before we have to shut it off? So any other
I could
comments?
speak just really briefly to the idea of conflict and what we sometimes confuse about what conflict is. And we often, if we could think about what a team does, they're juggling three main areas. They're managing the content, the assignment they're trying to get through and complete. They're managing the relationships and getting to know each other and how we work differently in different styles. And they're managing a process. And so often when one of those three things starts to have difficulty, and let's give the example of process. So perhaps when the timing of doing the assignment starts getting into a stressful crunch time, or when someone is not able to show up for a team meeting and therefore isn't doing their work because they haven't been available, that's a process conflict. That's something that, it's not a relationship conflict, but we often take it and we switch gears and we say, that person on my team doesn't care about me. And we take it personally and it harms our relationships. And so often what we do is dissecting what's the conflict, what kind of conflict, and then we can start to resolve that piece. And often when we pick up the one ball that's been dropped, the other two come back into place. So really it's about figuring out what is that conflict, and then we can transform it and change it and work with it. And so we have great success when we break it down in that way.
Thank you. Well said. And Jason adds to say, Nooreen points out the willingness of individuals to resolve the conflict is related to the ability of the team to resolve their conflict. Also, teams in this tough situation practice tools to address challenges and work together when conflicts are present. Thank you, Jason. We have, sorry, Jason, did you want to go on? We have
No,
time
you're okay.
that's
just me trying to paraphrase, and I was going to answer Rishi's short question about one-on-one discussions with the experts or faculty members. So yeah, that's
Can you
a
read
lot
that
of what
whole question out for us, Jason, just because we're recording this and so they won't hear the question if we don't read it all out. So.
Gotcha. Sure. From Rishi, do you have any one-on-one discussions with the experts or faculty members in case of a conflict or misunderstanding? Yes, that would be us. We often do we do one-on-one coaching, we do team coaching. So that's one of the main steps that we use. Again, Nooreen mentioned about the idea of trying to be proactive first and building those structures in place. And then we do on occasion have to deal with reactive situations as well. What we do is involve the students in their own learning and the resolution of their own situations. So we are not the group of people who will come in and make a decision. We're going to work with the whole team and hear all the perspectives so that individuals within the team can learn to work together and work through the resolution of their conflict.
Wonderful, wonderful, well said. So we have, I think, one more question from Terry, and we'll end with that. And that is a great one. How is how is this kind of teamwork training theory learning integrated into RU's leadership studies program? And I'll turn that over to the team. And as a graduate of one of the leadership programs, I can speak if needed, but go ahead, please.
Oh, yes. So Terry, thanks for that question. And I'm assuming you're speaking to the Masters of Leadership program. And that is the program that team coaching is not as involved with, because this kind of teamwork training that you're talking about, the theory and the learning, is baked into the program. And the faculty within the leadership studies department are expected to serve as the coaches. So the three of us, that is actually the one school that we do not work with as hands-on as the others. But Megan, what was your experience as a graduate there?
Yeah, we had it, like you said, baked in. The faculty take the role. You do have a faculty lead within the program of your cohort has multiple teams within. And there's a faculty member that oversees your team, and that person really does the work of what this team coaching, what Jason and Nooreen and Julia have shared for your group. So those conflict resolution pieces and whatnot are all a part of the day-to-day study of the program. That said, as people that are hoping to leave this program of leadership with these skills, it's a wonderful area and opportunity to be able to use them and put them into practice. So I would say that everything that you've shared is a part of the curriculum. So there. And it's not to say that there was a situation that needed to go beyond the faculty that the leadership students couldn't be resourced by your group. It just means you don't necessarily have as much of a constant presence. Is that right?
That is correct. And also our resources are housed on the Team's Work website, and the School of Leadership does use our resources, like the team agreement templates and some other templates that we've posted there. They are used. So it's, yeah, we're all part of a larger team.
Well, awesome. I was just told we actually have more time than I thought. So we do have time for more questions.
Okay.
Terry asked if we could share the link. So if one of you wouldn't mind sharing that link that was mentioned.
Oh, to the Team's Work website? Sure.
Yeah, that would be great. We can share that in the chat. But if you've got any more burning questions, please put them in to the chat, or feel free to unmute yourself and ask us the question yourself. We do just want to hear it so that we can make sure that the recording covers that question. Wonderful. There it is. Amara's already on it, you guys. Thank you, Amara.
And just in a support of the website there, just a heads up, as many of you may know, the Royal Roads will have a new website coming soon. And so ours will be refreshed as well later this year. We've been working on that, but it's not time for that to go live yet. So do be looking for a more updated version.
That's wonderful. Having gone through the programs, and I did my undergrad with Royal Roads before I did my graduate certificate in leadership. And my previous experience before Royal Roads was not comparable. It was a very individual study process. You know, you were in a classroom as a number. I didn't have one-on-one time with my faculty. I did my thing, and if I didn't do well, I didn't even know where to go for help. That was my previous experience. And coming to Royal Roads, your faculty know your name. Now you've got team coaches here who are telling you that they're here to support you with these challenges. So really, I think as you go through this day, and as these time gets knit together through this open house, you'll realize it's all of the different pieces and components and groups and teams at Royal Roads that work together to make sure you're successful. Ultimately, that's what it comes down to. But your success is not just an A. Your success comes down to the relationships that you go through and you build. And so the work that your team does, Nooreen, is critical in that, because it's so easy, as we said, to go around problems and conflict. But really where true learning and true growth lies is in being able to deal with them. And when I say head on, I don't mean head on and angrily. There's a way to communicate, and it's so wonderful that you're going to provide those tools and pieces. And it's clear as you both and all of the three of you speak that you're speaking from frameworks of understanding, and those frameworks are things that our students and our prospective students will be able to take away as they go through this. So thank you. Any other thoughts from your team, Nooreen? We don't have any questions in the chat at this moment, but.
Yeah, for my last thought, I've heard a lot of students say to me as they're going through the program, "Oh, this teamwork stuff is really hard," right? And perhaps they came into the program thinking that. Perhaps they thought it wasn't going to be that challenging because of previous experiences. But what I'm delighted to say is, by the time they get to the end of the program, they're like, "Yes, that was hard, but I learned so much, not only about other people and working with others, but I learned about myself." And I think there's nothing that is more precious to hear as a team coach than that huge awakening of learning that teamwork enables.
Shashana said, "Thank you for sharing tips and experiences. It was a perfect example of team collaboration." Appreciated. I mean, obviously you're a team. So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You must have conflict that comes up.
That's an interesting question. And the thing is, we walk the talk. All of the tools that we ask our students to use, we use it. So we set up a team agreement. Right? That's the first thing we tell our teams to do: get to know each other so that you have a team agreement. And in our team agreement is, how are we going to deal with conflict, and what are the measures that we're going to use, so that when conflict occurs, we don't have to think about it. We already have an agreed upon guide of how we're going to do it, which we use. So There
Well,
you go.
clearly, because Julia, I think it was Julia or you, Jason, that said this is the best job you've ever had. So that's a good sign that the team charter is working. We've got one more question from Noon. I am Noon from Bangladesh. Are you at Noon? Noon from Bangladesh. I would like to know how the Master of Arts in Tourism Management program is collaborating with their students in this pandemic when hospitality industry is mostly affected. Or what about the job opportunity in tourism hospitality industry in this situation? That may or may not be a question that you can answer.
Yes, Noon, I totally get your question. And that is, as Megan said, not the question that we can answer. The best people to answer that question would be the program office and the program leadership from the Masters of Arts in Tourism Management, the MATM folks.
So we'll ask you to, what we'll do is we'll have our team we're working with here from our student recruitment that's organizing this whole event for you. We'll flag that question for them so that they can get back to you with a connection, because it's a great question. I love that, Jason. We practice what we teach. And then Katia Reyes says, thank you all for this good orientation and tools we could implement in a moment. We will be there. Thanks a lot, team. Coaching is amazing. Yeah, it certainly is. And I can attest to the power of it. There was times, I think I'm a pretty solid communicator, but I was really grateful for the communication, because when it's about your marks, having a team coach kind of come in and help your group go through that forming, storming, and norming stages, and as Julia said, everybody likes to stay in the nice zone and no one likes to have conflict. But true growth comes in being able to have those conflicts and find resolutions. So thank you for the work you do here at Royal Roads. We sincerely appreciate it. And I'm sure I don't speak for just myself, but all that are attending today. I think someone's got a question, another one here for the admissions team that hopefully they can get an answer on. But I'm going to invite Andrea Torres to come back into the room. And first, thank you to you, Nooreen, Jason, and Julia. Awesome to meet you and to hear a little bit more about your passion for the work that you do here at Royal Roads. We're sincerely grateful for you being here today.
Thank you, Megan.
Thank you for including us. It's been awesome.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So maybe we shouldn't lose them, Andrea. Maybe they can help us put a question out for a prize. We should do something different. We have time. Let's think of a unique question that we could ask our audience today that could win them a prize based on what you shared.
Oh.
So why don't we ask a question from what you shared and then see who gets the answer first in the chat? What do you think about that, Andrea? Yeah?
Seeing a thumbs up. Okay, team, what are we going to ask? I have something in mind.
I had something in mind too, something around collaboration.
Let's do two. Let's do two
that's
questions
right.
then. I think
That's
right, Andrea.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting permission.
You're getting permission to go.
Yeah. So why don't you start us off then, Nooreen?
Okay. So my question would be: is from everything that you've heard today, what is the very, very first thing that you should do when your team is announced? When you find out who's going to be on your team, what's the very first thing that you should do?
All right. This is coming to you, audience, in the chat. We're looking for the first answer. Get to know them.
Jackie, that was fast.
Jacqueline, that was fast.
Well done,
that's the first answer.
And Muhammad, you've got it.
Terry.
Rishi, yes. And
All right,
Terry,
so
what do we have in common? And then the team agreement, Parmavir. Yes, awesome.
Good. So Jacqueline was first, so we'll make sure that you connect with Amara. Amara will take note of that and we'll get a prize for you, Jacqueline. Thank you. Your question, Julia.
Oh, I just changed my question on the fly there. What are the 3 things that a team is juggling at all times?
The 3 things that a team is juggling at all times. Coming to the audience. First answer that you approve, Julia, as the answer. First answer in the chat that answers that. What are the 3 things? Time, conflict, contribution?
Process, relationship, and content, project. Close enough. Precious, you got it.
Well done.
Well done.
Precious. And Jason, do you have a question? Heck, Andrea's saying yes, go for it. We still have, okay, if you have a question, Jason.
Oh, I was going to leave it at that one. All right, let's see. Well, I was going to ask about what is one way that team coaches support your learning at Royal Roads?
All right, coming
And
to
there's
the
a lot of
to the
answers to
chat.
this, so this one.
First answer. Parvamir, incredibly. Wonderful. Mohammed, conflict management, vision, providing tools to resolve conflict.
Yeah.
All right. So Jason, the
I mean,
winner
the
is.
conflict management could be true. Yeah, that's true. We can
All
help
right.
teams clarify vision. We can help, yeah, any of those. Mohammed, I think, was the first one that I see, but although the rest of these are also solid.
So Mohammed, we're taking note, Mohammed, of your name. And Amara, do you have that? Will you give us a thumbs up? We'll make sure that we get a gift off to you. So thank you again for participating today, to our panelists. And we're going to turn the time back over to Andrea. I think we're going to be coming right back here shortly. I'm going to be coming back because it's alumni relations. So we're going to be talking about the alumni. We have some alumni joining us from our graduate programs to share with you their experiences and to chat a little bit more with you. So please join us shortly at 12:45. Is that right? 12:30. Sorry, 12:30. I am wrong. So we'll see you 5 minutes for a little bio break. We'll see you shortly.